僕滑り込みうまいんだ。
ほんと、汚し方もうまいわね。
頑固な汚れにザブ。ザブは繊維に潜り込んだこんな泥んこ、油、果汁の染み汚れまで落とします。
きれいに落ちてる。ポケットの中まで真っ白。さすがザブね。
頑固な汚れにザブがある。
Day off in Kyoto, got bored at the temple, looked around at the 7-Eleven. The band took the speed train, went to the arcade. I wanted to go, but I didn't. You called me from a big...
はい、皆さんこんにちは。Kyotopia podcast へようこそ。Hello everyone and welcome to another Kyotopia podcast episode, number 44. This is the bilingual conversation version of the podcast where we will talk about Kyoto and Japanese culture in both English and Japanese. My name is Micah, and joining me as always is the magnanimous Yuko Sensei. Yay!
こんにちは。今、マイカさんなんて言いました？
magnanimous. Magnanimous.
Magnanimous.
I thought you would ask me.
ラブリー、ゆうこ先生じゃなかった。
So I thought I would mix it up a little bit. So magnanimous today is, and I looked, because this word is kind of advanced English word. So I did not know the Japanese. So I did a quick jisho.org kensaku. I did a quick search, and magnanimous, there's many different words here. So you can tell me which maybe is the most common. But we have kandai.
寛大な、はいはいはい。
Or kyukodai. Right. That's not a common word. But then we have futoppara. This one is interesting because in the kanji for futoppara is fat stomach. But the definition says, so, まあ、そういう意味じゃなくて、generous, magnanimous, big-hearted, broad-minded, or big-bellied. So I think maybe futoppara, and tell me if I'm wrong, Yuko Sensei, futoppara is like, the image is like the fat Buddha. Like very like generous, happy. And then there's one more, maybe, this is not the common word it says, but kimae ga ii.
なるほど。
So in all those words that I just said, which is the most common, do you think, or most useful for a Japanese learner?
太っ腹とか気前がいいって結構そのお金のね支払いとかでなんかその大丈夫大丈夫今日私がおごるよみたいな結構こう気にせずお金を払う人のことを太っ腹とか気前がいい。
So that's like with money, generous with money.
お金とかなんか自分の持ち物をそのこれもう着ないからあげるよみたいな。そうそうそうそう。だから多分一番最初の寛大な。
I see. Yeah. Tolerant, generous, lenient, broad-minded, or magnanimous is the definition for it.
つまり褒めてくださってると。
Yes, of course, every time. Yeah.
ならいい。
はい。
はい。
So yeah.
マイカさん、こんにちは。
こんにちは。So that was...
改めまして。
Hi. So this time we are doing a conversation based on the last episode, which was about the Showa時代, or sort of like Japanese nostalgia. But before we get into that, we have another Yuko Sensei no Shitsumon corner.
Yuko Sensei no Shitsumon corner. 日本語について聞きたいこと何でも聞けるからどうぞ自由に聞いてくださいよ。Yuko Sensei no
So yes, we have another Yuko Sensei Shitsumon Kona where I ask Yuko Sensei a question about Japanese that's been bothering me. And yeah, I was hoping that you could help me, Yuko Sensei. I have a very basic question. This is something that I learned a long time ago, but I forgot what the answer is. And it's kind of there's two things here, but they're kind of similar. First one is the word, when I introduce the podcast, every time I say, Hai, minasan konnichiwa, right? So, minna-san, minna. You can say minna and mina, right? Minna or mina. One is more formal than the other, and I cannot remember which is more formal. Do you know the answer?
はいはいはい。皆様とか、皆さんの皆の方がフォーマルで、
短い方がフォーマル。
そう、皆、そうです、そうです。はい。
皆
がない方が、
はい、
そう、だから、みんな様とは言えないんですね。みんなはカジュアルだから。で、皆様。
Right. Because I noticed when I do text, if I write mina, it has the kanji will come up.
同じなんですよね、漢字は。
Oh, really? Minna? Usually the kanji does not come up.
あ、本当に？
Maybe.
多分ね、みなでもみんなでも、
漢字が使う。
そう、同じ漢字が出てくるからこそ、confusing ですよね。
I see. Anyway, so yeah, the short version is more formal. That's what I thought, but I could not remember because it's counterintuitive. Like it's not what you normally think. Like usually longer words are more formal, but in this case, mina is more formal than minna. Ne minna would be more informal, right? Okay, so that's question number one. Thank you very much, Yuko Sensei. Yay, sasuga desu. And second one is kind of similar. We have ammari suki janai, right? And amari suki janai.
なるほど。
And this is the same sort of ammari, not a lot, or well, it depends on how it's used, the meaning of it. But ammari or amari, which one is more formal and which one is more common or casual? Yuko Sensei, please.
さんはどう思うんですか？
そうですね。I think it's the same as the minna, the rule. Like, amari is more formal and ammari is less formal. But I can't remember, so that's why I'm asking.
そうです。その辞書とかで調べたら、あまり何々ないとかのあまりって出てきて、そう、カジュアルな話し言葉の時に、あんまりとか、そうね。他にあるかな、同じような。でも、くらいとぐらいとかも同じような感じですよね。ぐらいってテキストに出てくるけど、実際話すときには、点々がついて、ぐらい。
becomes softer.
になることが多いし、はい。
Cool.
それと同じような感じですね。
All right, so I just need to remember that rule. The shorter one is the more formal, and when you're more casual, you use the ammari. Right? Generally, for those two, at least those two examples.
そうですね。会話でよく使いますよね。あんまりとか、そんなに。
そんなに、
これはもともとそんなにだけど、そんなに熱くないとか。
Cool. All right, thank you very much. That's it for this time's short segment of Yuko Sensei's Shitsumon Corner. Thank you, Yuko Sensei, for always being an excellent Japanese teacher. And if anybody's interested in signing up for one of Yuko Sensei's classes, you can find the link in our link tree, which is in the description of this episode. Now, moving on to our main topic, which is なんでしょう? Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about Showa, which is Showa jidai, or the Showa period. In the last episode, number 43, I introduced a bar that I really like that has a lot of Showa vibes. And so this time I thought we would talk a little bit in general about the Showa period. So, Yuko Sensei, what sort of things come to mind when you think of the Showa period?
でもなんか昭和時代ってさ、本当に長いから、昭和の初期と、最初と真ん中と後ろでね、それぞれ違うけど、なんか、昭和時代って普段の歴史的な話じゃなくて、日常会話で使う昭和時代だったら、 なんかこう古い懐かしいノスタルジックな、そうね、懐かしい感じ。
Right.
で、うん。
Right, so the period of the Showa period, like you said, is very long. It lasts from 1926 to 1989, technically, which is the reigning period of Hirohito. These jidai, or the period in Japanese traditional calendar, refers to the reigns of the various emperors at the time. So after Showa is Heisei, right? Right. So I think probably a lot of our listeners were born in the Heisei, but I, and I believe Yuko Sensei as well, we're Showa
どうかな
babies. No? Is that,
どう
should
か
I
な
not say? Is that
うん、
rude?
どうかな嘘嘘。うん。私も昭和ですよ。昭和昭和。
Yeah.
だからさ、まあこれ多分ね、また後で話すと思いますけど、そう。ね、私たちすごいなんか、昭和の人ってすごいなんか、今のね、平成が終わって、今、令和ピリオドの令和3年で、なんかもう2つも前の時代だから、すごい古い人みたいに思われる感じがありますよね。昭和生まれですって言ったら。
それは当たり前なことだと思ってるけど、まあしょうがない。But I think it's compared. So when people talk about Showa in Japan, I believe that generally the nostalgia that they're talking about, which I referred to this in the previous episode, is from the period of 1950 to 1980s. So it's kind of similar to Western nostalgia. You have a lot of movies and things, remake movies from the 80s coming, like Ghostbusters and things like that, because a lot of people who are buying tickets to see movies and are watching the TV shows are our age. So the adult, the running people of the people who are spending money, the people who are marketed the most are our age. So all the things that we miss about our childhood and things like that, those are the things that are being remade and put out there. So it's kind of similar in that respect.
なんかさ、そう。最近そういうね、マイカさんのロケーションでも話してましたけど、やっぱなんか時代ってこう、回るっていうかさ、20年、30年ぐらいでまたこう、戻ってくる、巡ってくるから、今のその、平成生まれの人たちにとって、なんかそういうこう、例えば使い捨てカメラとかもそうですけど、なんかああいうちょっと色あせたセピア色の写真とかがすごい新鮮なんでしょうね。だから歌も含めて、今の時代にないけど、ちょっと上の世代の人たちが経験してるようなものとか。
Right. Right, so I think it goes in that sort of like cycle of the people who get older into their 30s. When they were kids, what was popular? So next will be like 90s, and then I think we're kind of in the 90s now, revival stuff, and then early 2000s and things like that. But yeah, so Showa, and especially in Kyoto, there's a lot of traditional things and a lot of old things here. So there's lots of nostalgia in the city in general. I had a friend visit last week, and I was trying to take him to some of my favorite places, and I noticed a lot of the cafes and bars that I went to, he was like, there's always a record player. Like, he's a vegan, so I went to that Veg Out vegetarian restaurant, which is right by Kamogawa, very nice. But they have a record player there. I took him to Hachi, which I talked about in the last episode. And I took him in the guest house, Gojo guest house that we stayed at, also has a record player. So it's just like, wow. It's like, it's just lots of, yeah.
レコードってすごいなんか昭和のシンボルって感じはしますよね。なんか音もちょっと、なんていうの、なんかこもったようなクリアじゃない音がすごい新鮮なのはすごいわかる気がする。でさ、そのマイカさんのその背景と思いきや本物のバックスクリーンというか本物の背景だけどまさに昭和って感じですよね。その
Are you talking about where I am at right now?
そう。
Right. This is not the background. I'm actually here. This is a real place.
本当のね、そう。
Yeah, for our patrons who are watching via video, you can see I'm sitting in a very old Japanese style room. So yeah, I have a lot of Showa vibes behind me right now.
昭和といえばですけど、私もね、先週末にゲストハウスに、西陣にあるゲストハウスに泊まったんですけど、そこも同じような、もう本当に懐かしい、おじいちゃんの家みたいな感じで、そういうスライドドアもあったし、畳もあって、縁側っていう、多分その、今マイカさんのね、お部屋にもある 庭を眺める廊下みたいなのがあって、で、そこからこう、お庭、庭園を眺めたりとか、あと、蚊取り線香。豚の形の蚊取り線香とか置いてあって、すごい昭和懐かしい感じで楽しかったです。
All right, that's a very nice memory from Yuko Sensei. Thank you for sharing. But we also, moving on to, I have a quiz that I wanted to do. I'm going to quiz Yuko Sensei, introduce some very Japanese things, and she's going to tell me whether or not she knows if they were created or if they were first introduced in the Showa period. So this quiz I will call, Is it Showa? All right, Yuko Sensei, are you ready?
それは日本人として間違えられない問題ですね。
All right, we'll find out if you can, you'll have to hang your head in shame, or if you can be a proud Japanese Showa baby.
なんせ昭和生まれですから、
That's
私。
right. That's right. 責任があるでしょ？
責任がありますね。間違えられない。平成生まれにバカにされる。
All right, so first, please tell me if the following are Showa or not. First one, we have the Capsule Hotel. We talked about in episode 42, I believe. Capsule Hotel.
宿泊施設のね、話の時でね。
So was the Capsule Hotel created first in the Showa period or not?
あ、そういうこと？
Yes. First Capsule Hotel, was that in between 1926 and 1989?
昭和ってさ、1926年ぐらいじゃない？
Yes. 1926から1989までの間です。はい。
まあ、もっとその前にできてる可能性、平成では絶対ないけどさ。
Okay, so if it's before Showa or not?
いや、大正まではいかないはずだから、きっと昭和のものだと思います。
Okay, she says Showa, so is the Capsule Hotel Showa? Ping pong, ping pong. That's right. 1979. The first capsule hotel in the world opened in 1979, and it was called the Capsule in Osaka, located in Umeda.
そうだね。なんかそう言ってたね、前に。大阪。
So very good. That's 1 for 1 so far. It's a good start.
そんなに前じゃないよね。30、40、50年ぐらい前か。
Yeah, not so long ago. All right, moving on to the next one. Very famous, very popular part of Japanese culture. Manga. Manga. Was manga first introduced to Japanese culture in the Showa period or not?
めっちゃ微妙。昭和でしょう。これも。昭和でしょう。
Alright, manga is not Showa, unfortunately. A lot of the style of art and stories can date back as far as the 12th century. So 1200年のぐらいの時。
1200年ってまだあれやん、京都が都の時とかその辺でしょ。
Right. But the first time when the word manga was being used regularly was around 1798. That became a common word to say manga, and it's usually that period of time had publications of works such as Santo Kyoden's picture book Shiji no Yukikai. Do you know Shiji no Yukikai?
知らない。
Yeah, I don't know about it either. But apparently, that period, people were often using the word manga. So I'm sorry, the answer is not Showa. It's a little bit deeper than that.
今のさ、絵が描いてあって、そのセリフがついてる、その漫画スタイル自体も、もっともっと前から昭和じゃないってことですよね。名前だけじゃなくて、その漫画のコンセプト自体がもっと昔からあるってことなんですね。
All right, moving on to the next one. Anime. Anime. Everyone loves anime, right? Everyone now loves anime. Was anime first introduced in Showa or not?
これは昭和でしょ。テレビが普及し始めてからじゃないでしょうか。
That's right. That's a good good guess. Educated guess. Of course, it would have to be after TV. So yeah, anime. The first anime was Momotaru Umi no Shinpei, which was released in 1945, and it was sort of like a propaganda for like
戦争の後ってこと。
yeah, be like pro Japan. Like, let's go fight Japan, you know, and it was like a black and white animation. So yeah, good job. That's 2 for 3. You got 2 for 3. All right. I hope everyone who's listening at home is playing along. See if you can guess if it's Showa or not. All right, moving on to the next one.
はい。
Okay. Sumo.
相撲は昭和じゃない多分。
多分。
いやちょっと待って。でも多分今の今の本当の相撲システムができたのは昭和かもしれないけど、相撲のオリジナル自体はいやもっと前だね。もっと前のはず。っていうそういうトリックだと思うので、ノーですねこれは。
That's right. So sumo was not a Showa thing. Can you guess? What would you guess would be the first sumo? What period? What jidai would it?
いやめっちゃ前なんじゃない？
Right.
もしかしたら平安鎌倉時代
Oh,
とか。
double points. You got double points. It's Heian period.
やった。
Good job.
あの時期にさ、結構その文学とか、なんかそういうね、いろいろな娯楽、その楽しみ、アクティビティ、レジャーとかが多分中国から主にそういう入ってきて、多分だから相撲自体ももしかしたらオリジナルのそういうのは外国から入ってきたのかしら。どうでしょう。
That's right. Yep. Very good. Sumo, that was an easy one. That was a given. I gave you that. I put that one in there because, like, if you got everything wrong, at least you could get that one right. That was a given. But you got double points because yeah, that was Savisa Mondai. Yeah.
Oh no. よかった。危ねえ。
All right, moving on to the next one. PlayStation.
それは昭和でしょう。ファミコンがあって、だって私子供の時にプレステもやってたから絶対昭和 100%。
100% 昭和。
自信があります。
Okay. The answer is not Showa. You were 100% confident. So
もしかして平成元年とかその昭和から平成に変わった瞬間
Yeah, so Showa goes to 1989 and the PlayStation was introduced. The development for the PlayStation started in 1990, but the first PlayStation was for sale in 1994.
嘘
Yes. And I had a PlayStation as well. So I have fond memories of that.
子供の時
Well, in the mind, you know, like you said, we have like an image of Showa in that period of time. It's not a set date in our minds, so it's very Showa-poi.
あ、そっか、でもそうだね。昭和は
But it's not
確か
technically Showa.
4年ぐらいに終わったから、そうだね。
Yes. What about
そうだね。
Nintendo though? Nintendo.
任天堂は平成でしょ。
No, Nintendo is Showa. Nintendo is Showa.
あ、
Because-
ゲームの機械じゃなくて会社のことですか？
Yeah, ゲームの自体のものは
スーパーファミコンのこと？
スーパーファミコンも、昭和だと思うけど、
あ
but
スー
the
パーファミコンは
first,
絶
but
対
anyway, the
昭和
Nintendo company, yes, is Showa.
うんうん。会社はね。
Yeah, and but the first like Famicom, like it was called the Color TV game in 1977, and they also released Donkey Kong in 1981,
うんうんうん。
and the first Super Mario Brothers game was in 1985. So that was Showa, kind of just at the very end of Showa. Next one, we're moving on to food now.
私多分さ、5分のそうだね。5分の3。はい、どうぞ。
All right. The instant noodle. Cup noodles, instant noodles. Is
それ
that...
は昭和でしょ
Oh,
う。あ
that
れは
was fast.
昭和の、ベスト発明のうちの一つじゃないですか。カップヌードルは。カップラーメン。はい。
Not, sorry, let me correct you. Not cup ramen. That was my mistake. It's just instant noodles. So like the packaged
イ
one.
ンスタント、ごめんなさい。インスタントヌードルね。同じでも絶対昭和ですよ。昭和ですよ。
The answer is
多分。
Showa. That's right. Instant noodles were invented by Momofuku Ando, who was a Taiwanese Japanese inventor. Yeah. And the date, can you guess the date?
Date?
Yeah, what year?
いやー、どうでしょう。50年ぐらい前。
So 1958. 1958. So a little bit more, but yes. 1958 was the first instant noodles. One of Japanese people's favorite junk foods. Moving on, we have another food-related question.
6分の4。はい。
Here we go. Umami. Umami. The taste. The taste umami was identified. Was it like the word umami, the concept of umami? How far back does that go? Is that Showa, or is it earlier than Showa, or was it after Showa? What do you think, Yuko
うまみ
sensei?
って味のことです。
そう、味のこと。
味が
いや、味はその前はあるだろうと思ってるけど、それは当たり前のことだと思ってるけど、でもそのうまみっていうコンセプト、
うまみっていうコンセプト
生まれは昭和で
昭和かな
でしょうか。
多分
Okay? 昭和、うまみ。The answer is not quite Showa. Umami was first identified in 1908 by Kikunae Ikeda of the Tokyo Imperial University, while he was researching the strong flavor in seaweed broth. He invented, or he came up with the term umami in 1908. So, yeah, just about 20 years before. So, 大正かな?
大正は確かにそう短かったんです。
Yeah, it was very short.
明治から大正のその辺ですね。
Yeah. All right, here we are. The final question. You've come a long way. Are you keeping track? I'm sorry, I'm not keeping track of how
7
many.
分の4。
All right. I'll put the score up at the top of the video screen so we can see how many you've got right and how many you got wrong. All right, the final question. Is it Showa? Karaoke. Karaoke. Or as we like to say in English, karaoke. Is karaoke Showa or not Showa?
平成の可能性もあるよね。ちょっと待って。平成。どうだろう。微妙。平成かなもしかして。でも、スナックとかな。でも昔のさ、ほら、昭和のね、スナックとかで、カラオケでさ、ママさんとかの歌うから、昭和ですね。昭和です。
Alright, is that your final answer? Okay. The answer is Showa. Yes, it was indeed Showa. So the karaoke style machine was invented by a Japanese musician named Daisuke Inoue in Kobe back in 1971 is when so Mr. Inoue Daisuke we can thank for those of you who love karaoke.
1971年。
はい。
そっかそっか。
That's right. And so that concludes our Is It Showa quiz game. Good job, Yuko Sensei. I think you did pretty good. You
ど
got
う
a
か
pretty
な
good
パ
score.
ーフェクトスコアを狙ってたんだけど。意外と難しかった
難しかった
です。
Right.
はい。
Cool. I put some tricky ones in there on purpose, some easy ones. I tried to mix it up as much as I could, but yeah. All right, so I think we'll wrap things up for today. Thank you everyone for listening. Let us know if there's anything that you like from the Showa or anything else, any other topics you would like us to explore on the Kyotopia podcast. Yeah. So thank you everyone. Thank you to our patrons, and we'll see you next time.
またね。
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Kyoto